Hey guys, I'm Grestar, and how about we react to RWBY Volume 2, Chapter 3, A Minor Hiccup. As with my other RWBY reaction videos, this video will only include me, so if you would like to see the RWBY episode along with me, make sure to click here to go to the video that I will be using for proper synchronization. It's just on Rooster Teeth's YouTube channel under the RWBY playlist, so yeah. I say this one specifically because I don't think that the times will match up on like the Netflix version or the DVD version, but yes, with this one, I will put a timestamp in the corner so you can better synchronize. But yeah, new window, new tab, download it, whatever, just this is the one I'm using. So last time, I think the biggest things that were set up was that the Team RWBY is going to try to come together and stop the evil forces, even though they're kind of unknown. It's just Roman and the White Fang, that's all they really know. We don't know what they're trying to accomplish, where they're going to go next, or who else they're working with, etc. And then the other thing is the fact that some people at least have already infiltrated Beacon. We have Cinder, Emerald, and Quicksilver, and quite possibly the General and his armies, but we don't know exactly if the General is in on it. We just know that the three, Emerald, Quicksilver, and Cinder, they came supposedly as exchange students, I believe, from Haven, and I feel like that's where the General came from, but I'm not entirely sure. But the fact that they would both arrive at the same time, and that the episode was framed like that, with the General coming in first, and then the episode ending with the three coming in, it seems a little bit coincidental, and it could just be coincidence, but, it could also mean that the General's in on it, which would be very bad for Beacon, I would imagine. But what I'm most looking forward to is the fact that the Vital Festival apparently is still going on, so we haven't missed out on that. We just haven't yet seen the festivities, but I'm looking forward to seeing especially the cultural festivities because I am interested at this point in the faunus, and I really do want to see the tournament because the combat is nice, and it would be cool to see people fight, especially against people we haven't seen fight yet before, or at least against people we haven't seen. Like, we've never seen RWBY fight Jean. I'm not saying I want to necessarily, but that's an example. Like, I've never seen RWBY fight Jean, even though I've seen them just fight in general. And I guess maybe I kind of have in the food fight in, Volume 2, Chapter 1, but I don't specifically remember it. And it was all four people going at each other at once, and so the focus was never specific, like it was never focused exactly. The focus was broad, is what I'm trying to say. So, it'd be interesting to see, different matchups that might not otherwise happen. Kind of like, again, with the Naruto tuning exams, where we got to see specific people fight, and those episodes were just really cool because it's like, oh, how's this person gonna match up with this person, So, that's what I'm most looking forward to, is the Vital Festival at this point. I don't know what else exactly is going to happen, but I do really think that so far, these episodes from Volume 2 have been a lot better than the ones in Volume 1 as far as, like, cohesiveness and substance actually go. So, and length, too. Like, these ones have both been over 10 minutes, which I've been super happy about. So, yes. I don't know. I don't think I have anything more to say. So with that, let's get to watching. Alright guys, for the best synchronization possible, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, play, and when I say play, hit play. Alright, let's try this again. Okay, 3, 2, 1, play. Alright, now time for the intro. See if you guys can tell what I mean. Like right now, the lyrics and the music are fine, but then when the music picks up, it doesn't match up with like the tempo or the beat of it. It doesn't match. Like, I think I see what it's trying to do, in that it's trying to, like, gradually pick up tempo, but it doesn't work for me. I don't know, it bothers me. But hey, that's such a minor complaint, in the scheme of things. So, whatever, but yeah. But see, and then little things like that, where I'm like, okay, they all just fell from the sky. Is that actually gonna happen at some point? And can they actually fall from the sky, land, crack the ground and everything, and actually be okay? Are they that durable? I don't know. Je ne sais pas! Alright, RWBY, here we go. Volume 2, Chapter 3, A Minor Hiccup. It's almost 4. I don't think he's actually saying those things. Spruce Willis. Darn. Cliffhanger? Aww. But Jean, good for him for trying, man. I feel your pain, dude, I do. In fact, I think a lot of guys, girls too, have felt that pain. Yeah? Schnee. That name, though, is just good. So are these new outfits? Or is it just for a temporary thing? Yeah! Yeah. Yeah. That's dumb. That's fun. That's true. Poor Wise. Oh. Well, you did ask about stuff. Where did that even come from? That's very... Alright. I'm like, that's very thin. Penny! I think you're confused. Either she was severely chastised, or she is an android! And her memory was wiped. Because, like, does she really not remember? Or can she just not, is she just hiding it, you know? It looks like she's just hiding it at this point. Yes! Okay. Good, because I don't want to deal with memory wiping. That would be bad. It's weird how there are the two doors and she's walking down the center. So she went through a door, went into the middle, and then walked forward. Because it looked cooler that way. Well, thank you, computer lady. She's trying to get the right expression. Gotta practice for when you run into people, right? She is so helpful, guys. So I guess as a gift, Atlas gave the world Skype. Uh-huh. She has to watch out for her own job, you know? I feel like she might tell Papa Schnee about this. I mean, it is fairly suspicious. Okay, good. That was awkward. Very, very much. Do we know Ruby's father? Hmm. Who was it then? Well, robots are apparently a thing. Okay. Okay. Right. Oh. Mech suit. Hmm. Why is that, Penny? Uh oh. Did they just stop that car? Such strength. It's gonna be like, Ruby, it's not like you don't have super speed. Ow, you don't just drop someone when you're going at that speed. That would really hurt. It's confirmed she's a robot. I mean, it's not confirmed. I'm gonna say she's a robot. I'm fine. Don't mind my broken legs. I mean, I do think that some people could do that with their aura, you know? I mean, like when Jean blocked the bear paw, I think that that was doable due to his own strength matched with his aura, you know? But I feel like with Penny, so many things are just coming together to say that she's some sort of android or robot. I mean, we saw her run from the demonstration, so. A hiccup. Yes! Oh. Okay, cool. So my first suspicions, okay, not my first suspicions, my first suspicions since the fight against Roman back in the last chapter, Volume 1, were actually correct, and she was an android of some sort. Well, I don't know if you want to classify it as an android or a robot or a cyborg. I'm gonna say one of the first two, you know? I mean, like, the general mentioned a human touch, and I know that after that he showed, like, the mech suit, but it still could mean... I mean, okay, let's see. I'll talk about that in a second. So, okay, I got the time. And this is just showing the annotation bit. Okay. Well, this episode was 12 minutes and 51 seconds long, and now it's time to talk about it. So, to go back to the whole Penny thing, where was I? Oh, right. Where was I going with that? So the demonstration, the last part we left off, was how the general mentioned sometimes, even with that, situations call for a human touch. And he did show the mech suit, but from my experience, from my understanding, at least within media, like fictional stuff, the government, the army, whatever, the military, they'll have stuff for themselves, and then once they've like advanced beyond that, then they'll give some of the older stuff to the actual community, like they usually don't just immediately go, aha, we have this new biggest thing. No, they'll get the biggest thing in secret and then send out something else, or even if it's just a prototype. I think that Penny could be the advanced model that they have, or even just a prototype for like a really human android robot kind of thing. So it's certainly possible that Penny has, human qualities within her, like actual emotions and everything, as opposed to being strictly program and wires and circuitry and that kind of stuff. But she is indeed metallic to some extent. Wah! Alloys! So with all the hints that were dropped, it wasn't really surprising for me, but I am glad to actually have it solidified at this point. So it wasn't a big revelation, but now it's like, all right, now I no longer have to speculate. That is indeed a thing. What I do want to know about now is like why people are after her, because we saw her last time, at the end of Volume 1, where yeah, she was picked up and taken away by her father supposedly, which I assume means her creator, but maybe it is more of the human aspect to her. I don't know yet. I mean, we know just the basics, that she's not entirely human or a real girl, but we don't exactly know what exactly she is. So things could still happen. We could still definitely learn some more stuff and fill in the little holes along the way, but she had to run from people. So I wonder if at this point she had escaped, from some sort of captivity. Like, instead of just being set free again, I feel like it was more she escaped and now people saw her and they're like, there she is, let's get her, to bring her back. I don't know for sure, but that's what it makes me think right now. So it's interesting, yeah. And just the fact that, if she did escape, and if the military, if they are having, like secret experiments and this high-tech stuff that they're not sharing, it's interesting to see the General again, because he was first introduced, as far as I'm aware, in Chapter 1 of Volume 2, when he went and visited Ozpin with his armies and everything, and maybe brought along Cinder, Quicksilver, and Emerald, knowingly so, and so seeing him again here, and then seeing the questionable stuff behind it, like with, them chasing after Penny and RWBY, who knows exactly? It's hard to say what side he's really on at this point. It could be, a personal thing, like for personal gain. So, yeah, I don't know if we can trust him. They're actually, okay, so there was the reveal where, she stopped the bus and then her hands were all metallic, right? There could have easily been a reveal just a little bit earlier, because when RWBY was super speeding and then she dropped Penny, if you think about like the friction and everything that, you would get from that on sidewalk, like Penny's skin would have been rubbed off in many areas. And so it easily could have been one of those things where, RWBY was doing that, and it wasn't due to her, like, failing, lack of strength or anything, but if she just tripped or something else caught her up, and she dropped Penny like that, with the momentum Penny would have, she would still, like, skid and bounce and everything, and then she could just stand up, and it would be like a Terminator kind of moment, where, like, maybe half of her face is, like, gone, or it's, like, all metallic at that point. I mean, a Terminator, a Two-Face sort of thing, but Two-Face more if he were a robot beneath the skin, you know what I mean? So Terminator's the better analogy. But it could have easily been like that, instead of it having to be like RWBY was in the road, Penny stopped her, or stopped the bus. But I guess this way also shows that Penny cared enough about RWBY to actually stop her, or save her, I suppose, stop the bus from hitting her, instead of it just being a reveal of Penny as a robot. Because, Penny did risk her, identity in doing so. So, you know, I guess it kind of depends. I'm not saying that the first way would have been better, but I'm saying it could have easily been the first way that the reveal happened, and it could have been a way that it, you know, it could have been a way that it happened along with the way that it actually did happen. Like, with that skid, I feel like they should have capitalized on it a little bit more, because they really didn't do... The only reason that, like, RWBY tripped or whatever was so she would end up in the road, so then Penny would do that. It didn't actually show any effect of Penny actually skidding around, and I feel like they kind of should have, you know? Like, sure, the skin from her palms has gone away because of, you know, stopping the bus, but what about when she had that fall? Like, I think that they both should have been incorporated, but that's just me. I don't think there's a whole lot else to talk about in this episode, and I could just be not remembering things right now, but... You know, we have the setup of Weiss getting the documents, and I guess she just kind of didn't question where RWBY ran off to, or didn't bother to follow after her. Honestly, at the beginning of the episode, or nearer the beginning, you know, I was more siding with Weiss than I was with RWBY, because, you know, RWBY asked a question or whatever, and then Weiss told her, you know, the history of the tower, and then RWBY kind of mocked her for it. Like, no, I was totally on Weiss' side, like, okay, you were the one who seemed curious, yeah, if I have this information, I'm gonna share it with you. You don't have to make fun of me for that, like, that's kind of mean. I don't think RWBY intended it as a mean thing necessarily, but even so, that kind of thing can sting to a person, you know? If you're, like, expressing your own interest in all the knowledge that you have or the world that's around you, and then someone like takes you down for it, even if it is in a joking sense, it can be kind of hurtful. And so with RWBY and Weiss already having that kind of shaky relationship, I felt that was just not cool of RWBY to laugh about that, you know, to snicker the way she did. And so I was totally on Weiss's side. However, at the beginning with Jean, you know, trying to get a date with Weiss, I was totally feeling for Jean. I have so been there before, you know? And, not cool. But I am glad that Weiss then didn't get to go out with, Sun's friend, Neptune, right? It's Neptune. I kept thinking, like, Napoleon. I'm like, that's not right. Neptune. You know, because, you know, Jean didn't get his date with Weiss, and then Weiss didn't get her date with Neptune, so I was happy for that part, because it's like, yeah, neither of you get what you want. I mean, if Jean can't have you, you can't have him, kind of thing. But, yeah. Aside from that, I can't think of really much else that happened in this episode. It's just kind of setting up for, yeah, Weiss having the documents, possibly the Upper Schnee family, you know, like Weiss's father being contacted about suspicious activity, you know, getting involved. And then, too, we got to see all these robots that are most likely going to cause problems at some point in the future too. I mean, especially if the General was in on it with Quicksilver, Emerald, and Cinder, that could be why they need all the dust, because they have this army of robots, of these police bots, you know, superior things coming in. You know, they would need all that dust possibly to power up their weapons, or just, you know, themselves in general. So, yeah, if they are working together, that could be really bad, and that could be the thing. I mean, they are moving on to phase 2. They had set coordinates, so maybe that's why they needed to be in that city specifically. It's hard to say, but it's a possibility for sure. So I don't think I have anything else to say about this episode. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments below. Do not spoil things for me. You can talk about this episode and everything before it, but do not talk about anything in the future. If you genuinely haven't seen this series before, if you're watching it for the first time along with me, then sure, you can speculate in the comments, I suppose, but do not spoil things, please, and thank you. Remember to be nice, and with that, we're calling it here. Cue outro, go!